I want to start this off by posing a question to people. Do you like to get drastically underpaid for the work that you put in? That's what it's like being an NCAA athlete. As being an NCAA athlete myself, we put on average more than 40 hours a week into our craft in school, putting in the work that is required for us to keep our scholarship. Now, with the money that we bring into the institution, we see a very small portion of it. As a whole, from the NCAA website, there are over 460,000 student athletes who perform in exactly 24 sports in NCAA competition. Now, you may ask, how do we get compensated from the university? Well, we do receive full tuition scholarship, but we also receive $825 a month in pay that goes towards rent, utilities, essential needs, and food. Now, you may think, having a bias as a person who's not a Division I athlete, you may think that what we get is enough, that should be able to sustain our whole life, but it's not. In my personal living situation, I get $825 a month. After rent, after rent utilities, it's about $275. Now, when you break that down on a day-to-day basis, that's an average of $8.33 a day for food. Now, as you can tell by my body size, $8.33 is not going to feed me. Someone who also went through this is former Houston Texans running back Arian Foster. While he was at the University of Tennessee, he took illicit benefits and was paid on the side, and this is what he had to say in response to those allegations. He said, "I really did not have money. I usually was broke. I either had to pay for rent or food. So yes, of course I took money." Now, also from the CBS website, compared to our $825 a month, University of Tennessee gets $5,666. So, if his situation at $5,666 isn't enough, how do you think we at Southeastern $825 is going to do us? Now, I want to lighten things up a little bit, so I'm going to give you a story on my life. So today's, March 30th? Tomorrow's the 31st. We don't receive our stipend checks until the middle of the day, April 1st. So around this time at the end of the month, I like to call it the dark times, because tomorrow on the 31st, I will no longer have any money for food and basically will not eat tomorrow. Now I have a packet of crackers in my pantry, so tomorrow, that's what I'll be eating on. Now, to put this in more dramatic, to put in a more real sense, other teammates who don't have the money that I came to college with, the way that they handle the $825 a month is they illegally cram 6 people into a 2-bedroom apartment, and you have people that are living on the couches, people who are living on the floor, and all sharing rent so that they in total can have money to eat each month. Now, when you're putting in the work that we're putting in, and you're sleeping on the floor every night and you're struggling for food, you start to see this disparity in what you're doing and what you're receiving. Now, I talked about how money is coming in and we're not seeing it. From the CBS website, on average, each year, the NCAA grosses $871.6 million, just the NCAA themselves, not outside institutions. And the NCAA is classified right now as a non-profit organization. So $871 million in a non-profit is going towards paychecks, redistribution, and investments on the part of the NCAA. And then also, I'm going to bring it back to $871 million is drastically more than $825 what we're getting a month. So we're helping bring in this money, and we're not seeing even 0.1% of it. So as Southeastern's $825 a month, I'm going to give an example from a friend of mine who's also my junior college roommate and is the starting linebacker at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where their stipend is $22.30. He told me that if he didn't have financial backing from his parents with that stipend, he would not be able to live. His parents give him on average $100 a week, $400 plus a month to help pay for utilities, food, and all sorts of living situations. He also gave me the insight that some players on his team right now are moving from couch to couch every day to be able to afford rent, or they just aren't able to find a place to live with the money they're given and be able to afford and work it out. 4 players, he actually told me, have rented out a U-Haul and are living at the back of a U-Haul right now because they have nowhere to live. They can't afford anywhere in the Las Vegas area, as it is pretty expensive to live in Las Vegas, as you can imagine. So now I'm going to present my plan to fix this problem. I suggest that we take away all differentiation in colleges and in sports and make the stipend anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000 given where you live. So places like the University of Miami, places like the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where they live in very high property value areas, will need more money to sustain what they live. Now, where will this money come from? Well, universities like Southeastern won't have the money to pay every single person $2,000 to $6,000 a month. Now, where this money should and will come from through my plan is it will come from the NCAA's $871.6 million that they get in revenue after paying all their costs. Now, doing the math, that would be well within the range of the NCAA to be able to take care of every student athlete to make sure that this is not a problem. Now, going back to the numbers, of the top 10 institutions that rake in money from college sports, on average, each institution rakes in $144.8 million per college. Now, that number from the Enlist website is $132.5 million more dollars than they spend on scholarships. So basically, they're getting in $144.8 million, and after they pay the students and all kind of fees, they have $132 million of pure profit for the university. Like I said again, that is ample enough money for the top institutions to pay for their student athletes. Then the lower end of the spectrum, like Southeastern, will have to be subsidized from the NCAA themselves. I just want to bring a quote from U.S. News. U.S. News puts this into perspective. Of all the colleges and all of the money that's raked in, it's a total of $6 billion when you include betting and other kind of TV lucrative deals that that colleges, NCAA, there's all kinds of endorsements. There's all kinds of money in college sports, and like I said, the athletes are really not. We're not seeing any of it. We're not seeing our fair share. To go back to the University of Tennessee, actually, CBS Sports also came out with this study that the money isn't always being reinvested in the students. Now, this money is classified as non-profit by the NCAA. So the way they get around these tax-exempt status is that they are supposed to reinvest in the students, in the education, and in the well-being of the student athletes themselves. Now, what the University of Tennessee did is they took $18 million out of the money they are supposed to reinvest into the student athletes, and they put it into investing in better coaches, better support staff, better recruiting facilities to get athletes to come to this school, and also expenses, traveling, such and such. So $18 million that could have gone into the pockets of the people who helped make this are now just being used to, further churn this juggernaut of inequality. Now, I really want to emphasize my plan in full detail. So what it's gonna start out is we're gonna need to strip from start to bottom the current situation, stipends, how we get the money, what kind of calculations they do for the money to get to this number. What we're gonna have to do is take it all down, implement every sport, no matter whether it's football, who usually takes the most money, to golf. Everyone's gonna get the same amount of money, varying, property of the place. Everyone's gonna get the same amount of money. Everyone will get treated the same, whether it's top end or low end. And from this new institution of my plan, the things that will happen positively is You won't have kids, like me at the end of the month who aren't going to have money for food. You're not going to have, the NCAA scandals like USC, Southern Methodist, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, where players are taking money from boosters to help just basically live, not to live lavish lifestyles, but they're taking this money to live, and such, it's huge violations against the law. It's very illegal. So with this plan, you will see I don't want to say 100%, but you will see a drastic number of these events going down. Now, if my plan isn't instituted, what's going to happen is, with the growth in college sports right now, it's trending upwards. So that means more money each year is getting poured into college sports, and stipends are staying the same. So what's going to go on is, if you don't fix this, is you're going to have more and more money being poured into sports, and the people who are performing and doing all of this are not getting the right amount of compensation, or even the amount of growth of compensation that this industry is bringing. So that's one down. That's if this plan is not implemented. That's what will arise from this. What you guys can do as the audience to help this situation is, you guys can go to your university's officials. You can get on Twitter. You can get on Facebook. Just make this known. Put this out there. The more people that talk about this, the more people that get this out into the public, the sooner it's going to change, because this isn't something that's going to stop. College sports is something that's going to be around till the earth ends. It's one of the most popular things to watch, one of the most popular things to bet on, and it's not going to stop. So we need to get the equality back for the people who are making this money. Right now, college sports is quote unquote amateurs, but are bringing in monies of the professionals, and they're not seeing that kind of money. They're not getting the right treatment for what they're doing. I just want to sum this all up and say that, being a Division I athlete, I feel very strongly about this. This is something that affects me every single month. This is something that affects my friends. This is something that might even affect my son or daughter if they get into college sports. And I just don't want to live in a world where there's this kind of inequality, because it's very drastic. And I think that's what we need to change. Thank you.